when we look at the hierarchy of the Conservative Party of Canada, you've got Pierre Poilievre at the top, and it's kind of up for debate who the second most popular Conservative MP would be. There's an argument to be made for it being Andrew Scheer or Melissa Lantsman or even Raquel Dancho, who's, I believe now she's either too pregnant to appear during question period or she's having her baby. Whichever it is, you haven't really seen her for a little while, but we don't really give much attention to, or there's not a big spotlight rather on just female MPs within the Conservative caucus. I know I just mentioned Melissa and Raquel, but when we just get rid of all of the other stuff, the female MPs are actually really awesome. And when you stack them up against even the female MPs of the Liberal or the male MPs of the Liberal, not that gender makes a difference in politics, but wow, the Conservative female MPs are just tremendously better at clapping back than the Liberal females or even the Liberal males. Welcome back to another video, everybody. We're going to be starting off with a really good clip. But before we get into it, I want to encourage everyone to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel, as well as I hope you consider turning post notifications on so you can actually be notified of upcoming videos. But more specifically and importantly, question period live streams, which are set to resume next week. So mark it in your calendar, folks, and stay close to your phone for notifications because it will begin shortly. Now, this is a bit of an older clip. It's already been run through. It's happened a few months ago, but we got to fill the time in lieu of no question period or parliamentary, anything happening, right? We're kind of in a dead zone right now. So I've got this awesome clip of an angry female Conservative MP who's absolutely obliterating Justin Trudeau and the Liberals. Here's the clip.
Have done. Unfortunately, after 8 years of this government, the number of sexual assault cases in this country has skyrocketed by 72%. 72. That's a very large number. That is many women and girls who are affected. And what makes this even worse is that so many of these crimes are committed by individuals who are out on bail who shouldn't be. And the reason they are is because of this government's soft on crime policies. The Liberals are putting women in danger. It is this government's decision to do that. So when will this Prime Minister take it seriously and do something?
Your Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the issues around sexual violence and violence in general towards women is something we take incredibly seriously, including the fact that we supported legislation, nonpartisan legislation, to have proper training for judges, something unfortunately Conservative senators blocked, but we persevered to ensure that women go through the criminal justice process respecting the violence that has happened and the underreporting that happens in this country. We are going to continue to do everything possible to make sure women are safe in this country.
The Honourable Member from Peterborough-Kawartha.
After 8 years of this Liberal NDP government, chaos and crime is at epidemic levels. Just weeks ago, a mom of 3 was murdered in Calgary in front of an elementary school in a targeted domestic killing. Her offender had previous charges, multiple active warrants, and a no-contact order. She did everything that was asked of her, and she was still murdered in broad daylight. Why? Because this Liberal government's soft-on-crime policies. Enough. We don't need summits, we need action, and we need a timeline. So when will they reverse these deadly policies?
Yeah.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, it is not a partisan issue in dealing with violence against women in this country. Crimes like that are absolutely horrific. It's something that we are working hard on with not just the Minister of Public Safety, but across government to ensure that women across this country are not only safe, but are safe to report violence. As we know, oftentimes violence starts early with domestic violence and can escalate. One of the reasons we're also banning guns.
Yeah. We're banning guns because guns bad.
Mr. Speaker, this
what a load of crap.
Is an issue the minute this fake feminist Prime Minister let women die.
Woo!
94 municipalities.
That's exactly right.
Declared domestic violence an epidemic. Violent crime is up almost 40%. Sexual assaults, 72%. Sex crimes against children up 126%. You can bet this is partisan. It is their policies destroying the lives of Canadians, and Conservatives will stop the crime and make sure women are not murdered in front of elementary school, and the guy who did it is behind bars.
There you go, man. You cannot argue that. You cannot argue that.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I'm glad to see the Conservatives fired up about taking the violence against women seriously. That is precisely why we have put in firearm legislation to deal with situations.
Oh, shut the hell up, bro.
Gender-based violence.
Women use firearms to protect themselves.
We are putting a national freeze on the sale of and purchase and transfers of handguns. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to violence against women, we are going to put in place every measure possible to keep women safe. Mr. Speaker, we are committed to this, and I'm glad to see the Conservatives passionate about protecting women.
Gaslighting cucks. What a load of crap, man. I hope you enjoyed that clip as much as I did. And now to finalize the video, I have an awesome clip of Larry Brock, Conservative MP. I call him Uncle Brock here on this channel on House of Canada, who's stacking up against the Liberal MPs on Arrive scam. Huge, massive controversy. Millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars have been stolen from taxpayers' money through just fraudulent, tax write-offs by our own government. And Larry Brock is one of the people in charge of really taking the lead on this and trying to shed a light and exposing this. And now we have to do our job by sharing this type of content out to get more people aware so that when it comes time to vote, at least people are informed and educated. So without further ado, here is the clip.
First, to protect the health and safety of its citizens.
Yes,
Second,
exactly.
to ensure the efficiency of its internal system. What we know from COVID-19 is that a daily cost of $1 billion
I don't know if it's because I'm hungry, but I just pictured him as a vertical pita bread.
What we know is that hundreds of thousands of hundreds
I can't explain it.
every week. But at the same time, this is no excuse for the type of recommendation and finding that the Auditor General deposited today, and that's why we are going to continue to implement.
The Honourable Member from Brantford Brant.
Mr. Speaker, as outlined by the Auditor General, the pandemic urgency can never justify corruption and oversight failures outlined in this report. The awarding of contractors favor GC Strategies, securing almost $20 million without competition. The CBSA's disregard for basic management practices compromised accountability, competition, and value for money. This Prime Minister is not worth the cost, crime, or corruption. Will fleeced Canadian taxpayers get their money back?
Here, here.
I would like some of that money back.
Mr. Speaker, I agree with my colleague that a global pandemic and the rush to put in place a series of measures to protect the health and safety of Canadians.
Bro, it's an app. You're making it sound like this is front lines
Public
of Germany or something.
Following the appropriate contracting rules that are in place. So, Mr. Speaker, we agree with the Auditor General when she says that those rules were not followed in a way that was acceptable. And, Mr. Speaker, as we've said, we're putting in place, and we already have put in place, a series of measures to ensure that this circumstance is never repeated again.
These guys think they went to war or something. It's a freaking app designed in an office.
Mr. Speaker, today we found out about the Auditor General's disastrous report on ArriveCAN. This confirms that there was a scandalous lack of oversight and transparency. In his mandate letter, the former president of the Treasury Board was supposed to, and I quote, raise the bar for government openness, efficiency, and transparency. The member for Quebec was responsible for auditing spending on these contracts totaling millions of dollars. Will the former president of the Treasury Board apologize to Canadians for having failed in his duties? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement Canada. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to my colleague for reminding us of the importance of responsible government. A responsible government protects the health and safety of its people, especially in
which you do not.
Like COVID-19, which is the worst crisis in a century and the worst economic crisis since the 1930s.
Caused by you guys.
Act swiftly to save hundreds, thousands even of lives. But despite that, we find that the Auditor General's conclusions and findings are unacceptable, and next time we will have to do better. The Honourable Member for Charlebourg, Haute-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, I would like to remind the Minister that he was President of the Treasury Board of Canada. It was his responsibility to ensure that public funding was properly managed. Now, during that period, during the pandemic, 23 companies received hundreds of millions of dollars in contracts. Businesses which were not named, they were listed as companies A, B, C, D, and so on the government.
Oh, that's sketchy. I did not know that.
Committee in 2021. Today, we've received confirmation that there was, I quote, blatantly disregarded basic management practices. Can the former president of the Treasury Board admit that he failed in his duty to protect Canadian taxpayers' money?
Yeah, they don't care, man. They all got rich off it.
The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement.
We need to see those company names.
Speaker, one of the duties of the Canadian government at the time was to ensure that the border with the United States would remain open for hundreds of thousands of Canadians transiting the border every day, and billions of dollars in equipment, food, medications, that would continue transiting through as well. That was why we created ArriveCan, so that the United States, led by President Trump, would not fully close the border, because we needed all those things and people going through the border, and that was important in my riding and in the riding of my Conservative colleague.
And that's where we're going to end this video, folks. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. You know, any points that were debated, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything really, just let them run free down below. Before we leave, though, I do want to encourage you guys to smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't yet already. It does really help grow the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.